They insulted the black maid's skin. The Mafia boss was watching, and he acted fast. Tasha Williams, the black maid at the luxurious Moretti estate. It was another evening at the Grand Villa, with crystal chandeliers hanging from the high ceilings, casting a soft glow over the pristine marble floors. Tasha had been working tirelessly, her hands moving with the practiced grace of someone who had learned to be invisible. As she entered the lavish dining room to clear the empty glasses from the long table, a group of guests were in the midst of a conversation. Tasha's presence went unnoticed at first, but then the conversation took a turn. One of the guests, a well-dressed man in his mid-40s named Mr. Lucas Parker, made a comment that sent a ripple of discomfort through the room. "I didn't realize the staff had to be so different," he sneered, eyeing Tasha's dark skin. Laughter followed from the others at the table, some of it nervous, others a little too eager. Tasha could feel the heat rise to her cheeks, but she kept her head down and continued to clear the table. The laughter didn't stop, though, and it grew louder. "She's nothing but a maid," another guest added. "They're all the same, aren't they?" Tasha's heart raced in her chest, but she held her composure. She had learned to ignore these insults, to endure the mockery with silence. But today, something inside her broke. She had had enough. She was just about to turn around and leave when a voice, low and firm, cut through the air like a sharp blade. "That's enough." The room fell silent. Every head turned toward the door where a tall, imposing figure stood. Vincent Moretti, the Mafia boss, had entered the room. He surveyed the guests with a look that could freeze the blood in anyone's veins. His sharp, calculating eyes flicked from person to person, finally settling on Tasha, who stood there, frozen in place. The moment he saw her, his expression softened, just slightly, but enough for Tasha to notice. Without a word, he strode toward her, his presence commanding attention. He turned to the guests who had been laughing and, in a voice that could only be described as chilling, he said, "If you think for 1 second that this behavior is acceptable in my house, you're gravely mistaken." He took a step closer to Mr. Parker, his shadow looming over him. "Apologize," Vincent commanded. The guests sat in stunned silence. Mr. Parker's face turned pale as he stammered an apology, but it was clear it meant little. Vincent didn't wait for it to be accepted. He motioned for Tasha to come forward. "Are you all right?" he asked gently, his tone completely different from what it had been just moments before. Tasha's mind raced. She couldn't believe he was speaking to her, with such kindness in his voice. She nodded, her voice failing her. "I'm fine, sir." The guests were still frozen, unsure of how to react. Vincent didn't acknowledge them further. He simply turned and walked toward the door, his footsteps echoing in the silent room. As he passed, he glanced back at Tasha one last time, his gaze softening. "You don't deserve this," he said quietly before leaving. The room remained still, the air thick with disbelief. Tasha stood there, stunned. She had never felt so seen, so valued in this house. The injustice that had been done to her was not only acknowledged, but corrected by the very man who had the power to make everything disappear. The weight in her chest lightened for the first time in years. She realized then that things were about to change. Forever. As Tasha stood there, still processing the events of the evening, the weight of what had just happened began to sink in. She had always known the Moretti estate was a place of power and privilege, but she had never expected that power to be used on her behalf, especially not in such a direct and forceful way. The laughter of the guests, the mocking words, had all been swept away in an instant, replaced by the calm but commanding presence of Vincent Moretti. She had been seen, not just as a servant, but as a person deserving of respect. It was a feeling that was foreign to her, something she hadn't experienced in years of working in the shadows of high society. The sound of footsteps approaching broke her thoughts. She turned to see one of the other staff members, Marie, a fellow maid, walking towards her. Marie had always been kind to her, though they rarely spoke much during their shifts. "Tasha, are you all right?" Marie asked, her voice soft, yet filled with genuine concern. Tasha nodded. Slowly, her throat tight. I think so. I'm just in shock." Marie smiled gently. "It's not every day that someone like Mr. Moretti steps in like that. He doesn't usually pay attention to the staff." Tasha let out a small laugh, a sound that felt almost alien to her. "I never thought I'd be in the spotlight, especially not like that. I thought I was invisible here." Marie raised an eyebrow. "Invisible?" No one is invisible in Mr. Moretti's world, Tasha. You just had the luck, or maybe the fate, to be noticed when you needed it most. Tasha's mind raced back to the moment when Vincent had spoken to her, his voice firm but unexpectedly gentle. She hadn't anticipated his actions, but they had made all the difference. I don't know what to think, she confessed. I've worked here for years, and no one has ever stood up for me like that. Marie nodded in understanding. I get it. But you're not just some maid anymore, Tasha. Mr. Moretti doesn't forget those who show strength, and he sees something in you. You'll see. Things will change for you now. Before Tasha could respond, the sound of Vincent's voice echoed down the hallway, firm and unmistakable. Tasha, he called. Her heart skipped a beat. She turned quickly to face him, not knowing what to expect next. He stood at the end of the hall, his dark eyes focused on her. Come here. With a deep breath, Tasha walked toward him, unsure of what he wanted. When she reached him, Vincent didn't say anything at first. He simply looked at her, his gaze steady and searching. I meant what I said, he finally spoke. You don't deserve to be treated like that. Tasha felt a strange flutter in her chest at his words. She wasn't sure if it was relief or something else, but it was a sensation she hadn't felt in a long time. Thank you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Vincent nodded, his expression softening just a fraction. You're welcome, but I also want you to know something. He paused, as if choosing his words carefully. You have value, Tasha, more than you think. I want to make sure you never forget that. Tasha blinked, surprised by the sincerity in his voice. It was a rare thing to hear such words from someone like him. In all her years of service, she had never been seen in such a light. Vincent continued, his tone steady but firm. I'm making some changes around here, and I want you to be a part of them. I'll see to it that you're treated with the respect you deserve. Tasha felt a rush of emotions flood through her, gratitude, confusion, and even fear. Could things really change for her here? She had been invisible for so long, hidden in the shadows of this mansion. But now, she was being offered something she had never thought possible: acknowledgement, respect, maybe even a future beyond cleaning floors and serving at the whim of others. She swallowed hard, trying to process it all. I don't know what to say, she admitted. Vincent smiled, a rare and genuine smile that softened his usually stern features. You don't have to say anything, Tasha. Just know that you matter. Tasha nodded, still trying to make sense of the turn her life had taken in just a matter of minutes. It was hard to believe, but it was happening. Vincent's next words were simple, but they carried a weight that made her heart race. I'll arrange for you to start a new position. Something more fitting for your abilities. Tasha's eyes widened in disbelief. What do you mean? Vincent's smile remained, though his eyes were focused and serious. You're going to work directly with me. I need someone I can trust, someone with your strength. Her mind was spinning now, unable to fully grasp what he was offering her. But, I'm just a maid. Vincent's gaze softened. No, you're not just a maid. You're Tasha, and I think it's time people started seeing you that way. Tasha didn't know what to say to that. She had spent so many years thinking of herself as just a servant, a faceless presence in a world that didn't care about her. But now, for the first time, she felt as though she was standing on the threshold of something new. Something that might finally give her the life she had always dreamed of. She could hardly believe it, but there was a part of her that wanted to believe in this moment. Vincent gave her a small nod, as if reading her thoughts. I'll have my assistant get in touch with you soon. But for now, take the night off. You've earned it. As he turned to leave, Tasha stood there for a moment, watching him go. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger, something that could change her life forever. And for the first time in years, she was filled with hope. The next morning, Tasha arrived at the estate early, still trying to come to terms with the events of the previous evening. The mansion, with its towering walls and opulent decorations, seemed even more imposing now. But today it was different. She wasn't just another maid cleaning the floors or serving drinks at a party. Vincent's words from last night echoed in her mind. You're not just a maid. You're Tasha. It felt surreal, almost like a dream. She walked through the grand halls, her steps more confident than usual. There was a lightness in her chest, a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. As she entered the staff kitchen, she found the other maids already preparing breakfast. They greeted her with their usual friendly smiles, but something felt different today. There was a subtle shift in their demeanor, like they could sense something had changed. Marie, the maid who had spoken with her last night, gave her a knowing look. "How are you feeling today, Tasha?" she asked softly. Tasha smiled a little shyly. I'm good. A little overwhelmed, but good." Marie nodded. "It's not every day Mr. Moretti offers someone a new position. You must have impressed him." Tasha's heart skipped at the mention of Vincent's name. "I didn't expect this. I thought I'd just keep doing my job, and that would be it. But now—" Her voice trailed off as she tried to find the right words. "Now, you're part of something bigger," Marie said with a gentle smile. "Don't let it scare you. Just remember, you deserve this." Tasha nodded, feeling a rush of gratitude toward Marie. She had always been kind, but today, her words felt like a lifeline. As Tasha prepared to head to the office, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Vincent's offer was something she never could have imagined, but now, it felt like her chance to make something of herself. She arrived at Vincent's office promptly at noon, her heart pounding in her chest. When she walked in, Vincent was standing by the window, looking out over the grounds. He turned when he heard her enter, and his gaze softened as he saw her. "Tasha, good to see you," he said with a nod. "I trust you're feeling better today?" Tasha swallowed her nerves, standing tall. "Yes, Mr. Moretti. I'm ready." Vincent smiled slightly, clearly pleased. "Good. I'm glad to hear that. I've arranged for you to assist me with some upcoming business matters. You've shown a lot of potential, and I believe you have the intelligence and the strength to handle more than just cleaning. I want you to work directly with me and my team." Tasha's eyes widened. "I'll be working with you?" Vincent nodded. "Yes, you'll be assisting with some administrative tasks and helping me manage certain projects. But I need someone I can trust, someone with your attention to detail and work ethic." Tasha's mind raced. She had never imagined herself in a position like this. She had spent years cleaning the floors, serving drinks, and never thought that she would be entrusted with something so important. But here she was, being offered a chance to prove herself in a world she had never thought she could be a part of. "I won't let you down, sir," she said, her voice steady. Vincent regarded her for a moment before speaking again. "I don't doubt that. But just remember, this world is full of people who will try to use you, take advantage of your kindness. You have to be sharp, Tasha. Don't let anyone walk all over you. You've been invisible for too long." Tasha nodded, feeling the weight of his words. She had been invisible, but now, she would no longer let herself be ignored. Vincent gestured to the chair in front of his desk. "Sit. Let's go over what you'll be doing." As Tasha sat down, she felt a mixture of excitement and fear. This was it, the beginning of something new, something that could change her life forever. She would no longer be the invisible maid. She would be Tasha, a woman with a future. The next few hours passed in a blur as Vincent explained her new responsibilities. She would be helping with organizing meetings, coordinating logistics, and managing some of the estate's affairs. It was more than she had ever imagined, and at times, it felt like too much. But Vincent's confidence in her made her believe she could do it. "You're not just here to serve," he said as they wrapped up the meeting. "You're here because I believe in your abilities. You have a lot to offer, Tasha. Don't forget that." As she left his office, Tasha felt a strange mix of emotions. She was no longer just a maid. She was a part of something bigger, something that could change her future. The world that had once felt so out of reach was now within her grasp. She wasn't sure where this path would take her, but she knew one thing for certain. She was ready. As she walked down the hallway, her steps were lighter, and her heart filled with hope. For the first time in a long time, she felt like her life had purpose. The future was no longer a distant dream. It was a reality she was beginning to create. And with that thought, Tasha knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Tasha had spent the next few days adjusting to her new responsibilities, each moment feeling both exhilarating and daunting. The first task Vincent had given her was to assist with organizing a series of important meetings at the estate. She was no longer confined to the kitchens or the hallways. She was in the heart of the action, working directly alongside some of the most influential figures in the estate's operations. She still couldn't believe it. Tasha sat at the large wooden desk in Vincent's office, reviewing some files when he walked in, holding a few documents in his hands. He gave her a slight smile as he set them down in front of her. "How's it going, Tasha?" he asked, his tone calm yet reassuring. Tasha straightened up in her seat, trying to suppress the nerves bubbling up in her chest. "It's going well, sir. I've made a good start with the preparations for the meetings. I think I have a handle on most of it now. Vincent nodded, his sharp eyes scanning the documents on the desk. Good. I'm going to need your help with a few more things. You're doing well so far, but I need to know that I can count on you for bigger tasks as well. Tasha's heart skipped. She had been waiting for this moment, the chance to prove herself worthy of the responsibility he had given her. I'm ready, sir. What do you need me to do? Vincent looked up from the papers and met her gaze. There was a brief pause before he spoke. There's a dinner party coming up. It's for a few important business partners, and I need you to help with the arrangements. This time, it's not just about making sure the food is served. I need you to oversee the details. You'll be coordinating with the staff, handling logistics, and making sure everything goes smoothly. The stakes are higher this time. Tasha felt the weight of his words settle in her chest. It was one thing to handle small tasks, but this was something entirely different. This was an opportunity, but also a test. I won't let you down, she said with confidence, though inside, her mind was racing. Vincent gave a slight nod. I know you won't. You've got the potential, Tasha. I've seen it. Tasha spent the next few days preparing for the dinner party. It wasn't just about the logistics. It was about making sure everything was perfect, down to the last detail. As she worked closely with the staff, she found herself gaining more confidence. She was no longer the invisible maid in the background. She was part of the team, and she was proving that she could handle the pressure. On the night of the dinner, Tasha stood in the grand dining room, surveying the setup. The table was impeccably set, with fine china and crystal glasses glistening in the candlelight. The atmosphere was elegant, but Tasha's heart raced. This was the moment she had been preparing for. Vincent arrived just as the guests began to trickle in, his presence commanding the room as always. Tasha greeted him with a respectful nod. Everything is in place, sir, she said, trying to steady her nerves. Vincent looked around, his sharp gaze taking in every detail. Good, he said simply. Let's make sure it stays that way. As the night unfolded, Tasha found herself moving through the crowd, making sure everything ran smoothly. She coordinated with the kitchen staff, handled last-minute adjustments, and even managed a few difficult guests. It wasn't easy, but she did it with a quiet grace, moving seamlessly between tasks. Throughout the evening, she caught Vincent's eye a few times. Each time, his gaze was filled with approval. It was clear that he was impressed, and Tasha couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. By the time the evening came to a close, Tasha stood in the corner of the room, watching as the last of the guests left the estate. Vincent walked up to her, his expression calm as always, but there was a hint of something else in his eyes. You did well tonight, he said, his voice low. Tasha smiled, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. Thank you, sir. I'm glad everything went smoothly. Vincent gave a small, approving nod. You've earned your place here, Tasha. I'm not the only one who sees your potential. You're more than just a maid. Tasha's heart swelled with gratitude. She had worked hard to get to this point, but hearing those words from Vincent meant more than anything. I won't forget this, sir, she said softly. Thank you for believing in me. Vincent's expression softened just slightly, a rare moment of vulnerability. I don't just believe in you, Tasha. I'm invested in your success. Don't waste this opportunity. As he turned to leave, Tasha watched him go, feeling a deep sense of purpose settle within her. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was on the path to something greater. This was just the beginning, and she was determined to prove that she was more than capable of handling whatever came next. She was no longer just a maid. She was Tasha Williams, a woman with a future, and she was ready to take it. Tasha had been working at the Moretti estate for over a month now, and each day brought with it new challenges and opportunities. She was no longer the quiet maid who kept to the shadows. She had earned her place in Vincent's inner circle. Her responsibilities had grown beyond anything she had ever imagined, and the trust Vincent had placed in her made her feel both powerful and vulnerable at the same time. One morning, she was called into Vincent's office for another meeting. It had become routine for her to assist with various matters, but today, something felt different. As she entered the room, she noticed that Vincent was already deep in thought, his gaze fixed on the documents in front of him. Tasha, come in, he said, not looking up. I need your help with something important. Tasha walked in, her heart
racing slightly. What is it, sir? She asked, trying to maintain her composure. Vincent finally looked up at her, his eyes serious. There's a potential partnership on the table that could change everything for us. I need someone I can trust to handle the details. I've decided that you'll be in charge of overseeing the negotiations. Tasha's breath caught in her throat. She had never imagined that she would be given such an important role. I'll do my best, sir, she said, determined to prove that he had made the right choice. Vincent nodded, his expression unreadable. I know you will. This is a big opportunity. Tasha, I'm counting on you to make sure everything goes smoothly. Tasha felt the weight of his words. But there was no room for doubt. She had worked too hard to get to this point, and she wasn't about to let him down. Over the next few days, Tasha immersed herself in the preparations. She worked closely with Vincent's legal team, the estate's financial advisors, and even some of the other staff members to ensure that every detail was accounted for. There were long hours spent poring over contracts, meeting with potential partners, and making sure the logistics of the negotiations were flawless. Every step of the process was a reminder that she was no longer just a maid. She was an integral part of the team. The day of the meeting arrived, and Tasha was ready. She had organized everything to perfection, from the documents to the seating arrangements. Vincent arrived at the estate, his usual commanding presence filling the room as he greeted the guests. Tasha stood to the side, watching as the negotiations began. She had never seen Vincent in action like this before. He was calm, composed, and unwavering in his decisions. It was as though he held the power to shape the world around him with a single word. Throughout the meeting, Tasha observed quietly, taking in every detail. She saw how Vincent's confidence inspired those around him, how his presence made people listen, and how his sharp mind made every decision seem effortless. She had never realized how much was at stake in these types of meetings. And the weight of the responsibility Vincent had entrusted her with became even more apparent. When the meeting came to a close, Vincent turned to her with a nod of approval. You did well, Tasha, he said, his voice low but filled with gratitude. The negotiations went smoothly, and everything was handled professionally. I'm impressed. Tasha felt a wave of relief wash over her. But she knew that this was just the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead. More opportunities for her to prove herself. Thank you, sir, she said, her voice steady. I'm glad everything went well. As the guests left, Vincent pulled her aside. I've been thinking about your future here, he began. You've done more than I expected. And I think it's time to offer you a permanent position with more responsibility. You're no longer just helping me with tasks. I want you to take on a larger role in the estate's operations. You've earned it. Tasha's heart raced at the thought. She had always dreamed of a better life, but she never thought she would get the chance to live it. And now, Vincent was offering her a future she never imagined. I won't let you down, she said, her voice filled with determination. Vincent smiled, a rare and genuine smile. I know you won't. You've proven yourself, Tasha. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do. As Tasha left the office that day, her mind was spinning. She had gone from being a maid in the shadows to becoming an integral part of Vincent Moretti's world. This was her chance to build a future for herself, to prove that she was more than just a servant. And she would take it. The future was hers for the taking, and nothing would stand in her way. Tasha had been adjusting to her new role with the Moretti estate. But as the days passed, the pressure mounted. With each new task Vincent assigned her, she felt the weight of his expectations. She was no longer just a maid. She was becoming an integral part of the operations. This time, Vincent had asked her to help with a significant event, a charity gala that was meant to bring together some of the wealthiest and most influential figures in the city. The guest list was full of power players from every corner of the business world. and Tasha was tasked with making sure the evening went smoothly. There was no room for mistakes. As she stood in the grand ballroom that night, overseeing the final preparations, she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The chandeliers sparkled overhead, and the entire room seemed to shimmer with the promise of success. Tasha had never seen anything like this before. It was a far cry from the days when she had cleaned the floors of this same mansion. Invisible to everyone. Now, she was standing at the helm of an event that would change everything for her. Vincent had given her full responsibility for the event's coordination, and she wasn't about to let him down. As the guests began to arrive, Tasha moved through the room, making sure everything was in place. She greeted each guest with the same professionalism she had learned over the last few weeks, ensuring that every detail was perfect. She felt the eyes of the elite on her, but she no longer felt the same sense of inferiority that had once weighed her down. She was not just a maid anymore. She was someone who belonged in this world. When Vincent arrived, he made a point to seek her out. He nodded in approval as he approached her. "You've done a great job, Tasha," he said, his voice low but full of admiration. "Everything looks perfect." Tasha's heart swelled at his words. She had worked tirelessly for this moment, and hearing his praise made it all worth it. "Thank you, sir," she said, her voice steady. "I'm glad everything's running smoothly." Vincent smiled, a rare and genuine smile that made her heart skip. "You've earned this," he said. "You're not just a part of the staff anymore. You've proven that you have the ability to handle anything that comes your way." Tasha felt a sense of pride wash over her. She had worked so hard to get to this point, and now, she was finally being recognized for her abilities. The evening went off without a hitch. The guests were impressed by the smooth flow of the event, and Tasha found herself in constant motion, making sure everything was taken care of. She couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment as she moved through the room, overseeing the details and ensuring that everything was perfect. The night was a resounding success. As the last of the guests departed, Vincent pulled her aside. "You did well, Tasha," he said, his tone serious but filled with pride. "I'm impressed by how you handled everything. You've shown me that you can be trusted with much more than just administrative tasks." Tasha felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you, sir. I couldn't have done it without your guidance." Vincent's expression softened slightly. "You're ready for more, Tasha. I'm going to make sure you have the opportunity to take on more responsibility." Tasha's mind raced. She had dreamed of a life beyond the confines of the estate, but she never imagined she would be given such a chance. "I won't let you down, sir," she said, her voice filled with determination. Vincent nodded, his gaze steady. "I know you won't. You're part of my team now, Tasha, and that means I'm counting on you to help me take this business to new heights." Tasha couldn't help but feel a sense of pride as he spoke. She had come so far, and now, she had a place in this world, a world she had once only dreamed of. As she left the gala that night, Tasha felt a sense of accomplishment settle over her. This was just the beginning. She had a future here, a future that was hers for the taking. The path ahead was unclear, but for the first time in her life, she felt ready to walk it. She was no longer just a maid. She was someone who had earned her place in the world of power and influence. And nothing could take that away from her. Tasha had become more than just a figure in the background of the Moretti estate. She was now integral to the daily operations, working alongside Vincent Moretti on projects that would have been unimaginable just months ago. The trust he had placed in her was not only a personal milestone but a reminder of how far she had come. Still, with every new responsibility, the pressure continued to mount. As weeks passed, Vincent had tasked her with handling even more complex aspects of the estate's dealings. And it wasn't just about managing the staff or ensuring events went smoothly anymore. There was a shift. She had to make decisions, oversee deals, and even negotiate with some of the business partners Vincent dealt with regularly. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low and cast golden light over the estate, Tasha found herself sitting at Vincent's desk, reviewing documents related to a potential investment. She had become accustomed to this, being the one to examine contracts, analyze numbers, and provide input. Still, every time she looked at those documents, she was reminded of the immense trust Vincent had in her. The door to the office opened softly, and Vincent walked in, a stack of papers in hand. He was his usual composed self, but Tasha could see the slight crease in his brow that signaled he was deep in thought. "Tasha," he said, glancing at her with his ever-watchful eyes, "I need your opinion on something." She straightened in her chair, always ready to give her best, even though her heart rate quickened every time Vincent addressed her with such directness. "Of course, sir," she replied. Vincent set the stack of papers down in front of her and leaned against the desk. "I've been looking over this partnership proposal. I've got the business side of things figured out, but I need someone I trust to give me a fresh perspective. Tell me what you think." Tasha looked over the papers, feeling the weight of the task ahead of her. It wasn't just about reading the fine print. It was about understanding the bigger picture and making sure this decision aligned with the estate's goals. As she studied the document, she found herself thinking critically about the investment. It wasn't just numbers. It was about values, growth, and long-term vision. After a few minutes, she looked up at Vincent, meeting his gaze with a steady confidence she hadn't always had. "I believe this partnership could work. But it's risky. The projected returns look good, but there are some terms in the contract that don't sit well with me. If we move forward with this, we should renegotiate the clauses around the exit strategy and the equity share. Otherwise, we're giving too much control to the other party." Vincent raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed. "That's exactly what I was thinking. But I needed to hear it from you." Tasha felt a sense of pride swell in her chest. For so long, she had been the one following orders. And now, here she was, helping make decisions that could shape the future of the Moretti estate. "I'll set up a meeting with their representatives and make sure those terms are adjusted," she continued. "But we need to move quickly if we want to secure the deal." Vincent nodded. "Good. I knew I made the right choice in having you handle this." Tasha's heart skipped a beat. Those words, coming from Vincent, meant everything. It wasn't just praise. It was acknowledgement. "I'll get started right away," she said, standing up and gathering the documents. Vincent stood too, his gaze softening just a little. "Take a moment to breathe. Tasha, you've earned it." For the first time in what felt like forever, Tasha let herself relax. She was no longer just the maid who cleaned the floors and served drinks. She was someone whose voice mattered, whose decisions shaped the future. Later that evening, after the meeting had been scheduled, Tasha found herself standing on the balcony of the estate, looking out over the sprawling grounds. The cool evening breeze swept across her face, and for a moment, she allowed herself to reflect on how far she had come. The woman who had once been invisible in the shadows of the Moretti estate was now a key player in the world she had always dreamed of entering. She wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was a force. The sound of footsteps behind her broke her reverie. Vincent had come to join her, his presence both calming and commanding. "I see you've been keeping busy," he remarked, his tone light, but his eyes serious. Tasha turned to face him, a small smile playing on her lips. "I've been learning from the best," she said. Vincent gave a half smile in return. "You've exceeded my expectations, Tasha. I've been thinking about your future here. And I want to make sure you have every opportunity to succeed. Tasha's heart raced. She hadn't expected this. What do you mean? She asked, her voice quiet. Vincent stepped closer, his gaze intense. I want you to take on more. Not just with the estate, but in a broader capacity. I believe you're ready to take a step into the world of business. And I want to help you get there. Tasha's breath caught. Was this really happening? I don't know what to say, she murmured. Vincent smiled, a rare softness in his expression. You don't need to say anything. Tasha, I'm offering you a chance to build something for yourself. You have the potential to go far. And I'll be here to support you every step of the way. Tasha stood there in stunned silence, her heart swelling with gratitude and disbelief. She had dreamed of a life beyond the estate, and now, it seemed that dream was within her reach. This wasn't just about helping Vincent anymore. It was about creating a future for herself. One where she could stand tall as her own person. She looked out over the estate, feeling a sense of peace settle over her. The path ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in her life, she felt ready to walk it. With Vincent's support, she knew there was nothing she couldn't accomplish. And with that thought, Tasha realized that this was just the beginning. Tasha stood at the edge of the balcony, the cool evening breeze brushing against her skin as the stars began to twinkle overhead. The estate, with its sprawling grounds and towering walls, looked different now. It wasn't just a place she worked anymore. It was a world that she had become a part of. A world that had once felt so out of reach. And now, as she looked out over the vast property, she could see that this was just the beginning. Vincent's offer to help her build something for herself echoed in her mind. She had come so far. From being an invisible maid in the background to being offered a future in the business world. It felt surreal, but she wasn't about to let it slip away. She had worked too hard for this moment. The sound of footsteps behind her pulled her from her thoughts. She turned to see Vincent approaching, his usual calm and composed demeanor in place. He looked out over the estate with her for a moment, before speaking. You've done well, Tasha, he said, his voice steady. The way you've handled everything. The events, the contracts, the partnerships. It's impressive. I knew from the start you had potential. Tasha smiled, though her heart was still racing. It wasn't just his words of praise that mattered. It was the fact that he had given her a chance to prove herself. She had earned her place here. And now, she was being recognized for it. Thank you, sir, she said, her voice filled with gratitude. I never imagined I'd be given this opportunity. I've worked hard to get here. Vincent nodded. And you've earned every bit of it. But now, it's time to take the next step. We're expanding. There are bigger projects ahead. And I want you to be a part of them. You're not just a part of the team anymore. You're part of the leadership now. Tasha's heart skipped a beat. Leadership? She had never imagined that she would be given such responsibility. But Vincent's confidence in her made her believe she was ready. I won't let you down. Sir, she said firmly. I'm ready for whatever comes next. Vincent's gaze softened just a little, as if he was pleased by her response. I know you are. You've shown me what you're capable of. You'll be working directly with me on these new projects. I'm counting on you to help steer them in the right direction. Tasha nodded, feeling both excited and overwhelmed by the responsibility. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. I won't let you down, she repeated, more determined than ever. Over the next few weeks, Tasha immersed herself in the new projects. She was involved in every step, from the planning stages to the execution. There were meetings, contracts, and countless decisions to be made. But she handled it all with the same quiet determination that had earned her Vincent's trust in the first place. She worked closely with him, learning from his expertise, but also offering her own insights. Vincent had always been a man of action, decisive and calculated. But as he worked with Tasha, he began to see her as an equal. She had a sharp mind, a quiet strength, and an innate ability to see things from a perspective he hadn't considered. And that was something he valued. One evening, after a particularly long day of meetings and negotiations, Vincent pulled Tasha aside. "You're doing excellent work," he said, his voice steady but with a rare hint of pride. "I can't tell you how much it means to me to have someone I trust handling things the way you do. You've earned your place, Tasha, and I'm going to make sure you're recognized for it." Tasha felt a wave of emotion wash over her. She had worked so hard for this moment, and now, she was finally being recognized. "Thank you, Vincent," she said softly, her voice filled with gratitude. "I won't forget this." Vincent gave a slight nod. "Good. You shouldn't, but there's more to come. The next step is yours, Tasha. We're building something big here, and I want you to be at the forefront of it." Tasha nodded, her heart racing with anticipation. She had come so far, and now, she had the chance to make something of herself in this world. A world she had once only dreamed of. The following days were filled with even more opportunities for Tasha. She found herself sitting in on high-level meetings, negotiating contracts, and making decisions that would shape the future of the estate. It was exhilarating, but it was also overwhelming. There were times when she questioned if she was truly ready. But each time, Vincent was there to reassure her. "You're doing just fine," he would say. "Trust yourself. You've got this." And with his words, Tasha found the confidence she needed to move forward. She was no longer just a maid. She was a key player in the world she had once been excluded from. And now, she was ready to take it all on. As the days turned into weeks, Tasha's role continued to grow. She had a future ahead of her, one that was built on the foundation of hard work, trust, and the belief that she could achieve anything. And for the first time in her life, Tasha felt truly seen. She was no longer invisible. She was a woman who had earned her place, and nothing was going to take that away from her. Tasha walked through the halls of the Moretti estate with a sense of purpose she had never felt before. Each step she took felt more deliberate, more meaningful. She had become a vital part of Vincent Moretti's world, and she wasn't about to let this opportunity slip through her fingers. The estate, once a place where she worked quietly behind the scenes, now felt like home, a place where she had the power to make decisions, influence outcomes, and shape her future. As she entered Vincent's office, she saw him seated behind his desk, reviewing documents. His sharp eyes lifted as he saw her, and he motioned for her to come in. "Tasha," he said with a slight smile, his voice steady as always. "Come in. I've been meaning to talk to you." Tasha walked over to the desk, her heart beating a little faster in anticipation. She had worked closely with Vincent for weeks now, and each day brought new challenges. She was no longer just managing events or overseeing the staff. She had started making key decisions for the estate, and Vincent had begun relying on her more and more. "What's on your mind, sir?" she asked, trying to mask the excitement in her voice. Vincent looked at her, his expression serious. "I'm making some major changes around here," he began. "We're expanding, and I need someone I trust to help lead the charge. You've proven yourself time and time again, and I believe you're ready for a much bigger role." Tasha's breath caught in her chest. She had known that she was making strides, but this was different. A bigger role? She had always been in the background, but now it seemed like Vincent was offering her the chance to truly step forward. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside. Vincent leaned back in his chair, his gaze focused on her with an intensity that sent a chill down her spine. "I want you to take over some of the larger projects here," he said. "You'll be working directly with me on key investments, business partnerships, and other strategic decisions. You've earned this, Tasha. I'm giving you full responsibility for managing these projects. Tasha could hardly believe what she was hearing. Full responsibility? For such important projects? She had dreamed of this moment, but hearing it from Vincent made it all the more real. She had earned his trust, and now she had the chance to build something for herself. I'm ready, sir, she said, her voice firm and confident. I won't let you down. Vincent nodded, clearly pleased by her response. I know you won't, but there's one thing I need to make clear. Tasha. He paused, his gaze never leaving hers. This is a big step. The stakes are higher now. You'll be dealing with powerful people, and you'll need to make tough decisions. There's no room for mistakes. But I have full confidence in you. Tasha nodded, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She had been preparing for this moment her entire life. And now it was here. I understand, sir, she said, her voice steady. I won't let anything get in the way of my success. Vincent stood up and walked around his desk, his presence as commanding as ever. He stopped in front of her, looking at her with a gaze that held both pride and expectation. I know you won't, he said, his voice softening just a little. You've shown me what you're capable of, and now it's time to prove it to the rest of the world. But I'll be here to guide you every step of the way. Tasha felt a surge of gratitude. She had worked so hard for this moment, and now, with Vincent's support, she was ready to take on the world. She had come so far. From cleaning the floors of this mansion to becoming an integral part of the Moretti Empire. She was no longer invisible. She was a force to be reckoned with. Over the next few weeks, Tasha dove headfirst into her new responsibilities. She worked tirelessly, making decisions, managing projects, and negotiating deals with the same intensity and precision that Vincent had taught her. There were moments of doubt, of course, times when she questioned whether she was truly ready for such responsibility. But each time, Vincent's words echoed in her mind. I have full confidence in you. Those words became her anchor. And she pushed forward. The estate's business continued to grow. And so did Tasha's role. She was no longer just Vincent's right hand. She was becoming a leader in her own right. Someone whose voice carried weight and whose decisions shaped the future of the Moretti family. As the months passed, Tasha's confidence grew. She had proven herself time and time again. And now, she felt as though nothing could stand in her way. One evening, as she sat at her desk reviewing contracts, Vincent walked into her office. Tasha, he said, his voice as calm as ever. I have to say, I'm impressed. The deals you've closed, the partnerships you've secured, it's all going exactly as planned. You've really outdone yourself. Tasha looked up from her work, her heart swelling with pride. Thank you, sir, she said, her voice warm. I couldn't have done it without your guidance. Vincent smiled, a rare and genuine smile that made his usually stern face soften. You've more than earned your place here, Tasha. You've proven that you're not just a part of this family's success. You're a key part of it. Tasha stood up, her eyes meeting his. I've worked hard for this, Vincent, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. Vincent nodded, his gaze steady and unwavering. I have no doubt, Tasha had come so far in such a short amount of time. She had gone from being invisible to becoming a leader in a world she had once only dreamed of. And now, as she stood at the pinnacle of her success, she knew that this was just the beginning. The future was hers for the taking. And she was ready to embrace it with everything she had. Tasha sat at her desk, reviewing the latest batch of contracts and project proposals. The weight of her responsibilities had only grown heavier over the past few months. But she was thriving. She had found her rhythm in this new role. And with each passing day, She felt more confident in her ability to handle the business dealings of the Moretti estate. She had come a long way from being the quiet maid, and now she was a key player in one of the most powerful families in the city. The phone rang, pulling her out of her thoughts. It was Vincent. Tasha, I need you to meet me in the conference room in 10 minutes. We've got some new developments I need you to handle, his voice said. Calm but with an edge of urgency. She immediately stood up, grabbing the folder of documents she had been reviewing. The sense of purpose she had felt when she first started working with Vincent never faded. And every new task only fueled her determination to prove that she belonged here. When she entered the conference room, Vincent was already there, speaking with a few of his associates. He looked up when she entered, his eyes scanning her for a moment before giving her a slight nod. Good to see you, Tasha. Have a seat, he said. Tasha took a seat at the table, feeling the usual rush of nerves and excitement that came with these high-level meetings. This was where the decisions that shaped the future were made, and she was no longer an outsider looking in. She was part of it. Vincent cleared his throat and motioned to the documents in front of him. We've got a new offer on the table, an investment opportunity that could bring in a significant return. But I want your take on it. You've been handling everything with incredible precision, and I trust your judgment. Tasha took a deep breath and flipped open the file. As she read through the proposal, she found herself weighing the potential risks and rewards, just as she had done with every other deal she had worked on. This wasn't just about numbers. It was about the long-term impact it would have on the estate's reputation and future. After a few minutes, she looked up at Vincent. The returns look promising, but there are some clauses in the contract that could give the other party too much control. Specifically, the terms around the exit strategy are too vague. If we're going to invest, we need more assurance that we won't be left vulnerable if things go south. Vincent's eyes narrowed slightly as he listened, his gaze sharp. I agree, he said. I was hoping you would catch that. We need to renegotiate those terms. I'll set up a meeting with the other party's representatives. But I want you to be there. This is your deal, Tasha. Tasha nodded, feeling the weight of his words. This was her moment, her chance to step into an even larger role. She had been handling smaller deals for months now, but this one could cement her place at the top of the estate's business dealings. I'll be there, she said, her voice steady. I'll make sure we have everything we need to secure the best terms for us. Over the next few days, Tasha worked tirelessly to prepare for the meeting. She reviewed the contract again and again, cross-referencing every detail and ensuring that nothing was overlooked. She also coordinated with the legal team and financial advisors, making sure that every angle was covered. As the meeting day approached, Tasha's nerves began to settle. She knew she was ready. She had earned Vincent's trust, and now it was time to prove that she could handle the pressure of negotiating deals that could shape the future of the Moretti empire. On the day of the meeting, Tasha arrived early, her mind focused and her heart steady. She met with Vincent in his office before heading to the conference room. You've got this, Tasha, Vincent said, his gaze full of confidence. Remember, you've done the work. Just trust yourself. She smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude. Thank you, Vincent. I won't let you down. The meeting was intense. The other party, a group of powerful investors, had a reputation for being tough negotiators. But Tasha was prepared. She listened carefully, asked the right questions, and made sure that every detail was covered. At one point, there was a tense moment when the other party tried to push for terms that would have left the Moretti estate vulnerable. But Tasha didn't back down. She calmly but firmly pointed out the potential risks and proposed a solution that was in the best interest of the estate. Vincent watched, his eyes never leaving her. He had always known that Tasha had the potential to be a leader. But today, she was proving it. As the meeting concluded, Tasha felt a rush of relief. The terms were renegotiated, and the deal was secured on the Moretti estate's terms. She had done it. As the investors left the room, Vincent turned to her, a proud smile on his face. Well done, Tasha. You handled that beautifully. Tasha smiled, her heart swelling with pride. Thank you, Vincent. I couldn't have done it without your guidance. Vincent placed a hand on her shoulder, his gaze softening. You didn't just follow my guidance, Tasha. You took control of that deal. You've earned your place here, and I'm proud of you. Tasha stood there, the weight of his words sinking in. She had come so far, and now, she was more than just a part of the Moretti estate. She was a force to be reckoned with. As she left the meeting room, she couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. She had made her mark, and this was just the beginning. The future was hers, and nothing could stand in her way. Tasha had settled into her new role at the Moretti estate, and with every passing day, she felt more confident in her abilities. The business dealings, the negotiations, and the leadership she had gained over the past few months were shaping her into someone she had never thought she could be. She was no longer just a maid. She was an essential part of the Moretti empire. The new opportunities continued to come her way, and with each new challenge, she was determined to prove herself. One crisp morning, as she walked through the estate's halls, Tasha felt a sense of calm. Her role had evolved, and she no longer felt like an outsider. She belonged here. She entered the office, where Vincent was already sitting behind his desk, reviewing some paperwork. Tasha, he said, his voice steady and composed. As usual. Come in. We need to talk about the next steps. Tasha took a seat across from him, eager to know what was next. What's on the agenda, sir? She asked, her voice steady but filled with anticipation. Vincent looked up from his papers, his gaze focused and serious. I've been reviewing the estate's investments, he began. We've done well, but there are some new ventures I want us to explore. I need someone who can take charge of these projects and lead them to success. And I think you're the right person for the job. Tasha's heart skipped a beat. Another challenge? She had worked hard to get to this point, and now Vincent was offering her the opportunity to take on even more responsibility. I'm ready, sir, she said, her voice filled with determination. Vincent nodded, clearly pleased. I know you are. You've been impressive, Tasha. Your instincts are sharp, and your ability to handle pressure has been exceptional. I'm putting you in charge of overseeing a series of new investments. These projects have the potential to change the game for us. And I need someone who understands the risks and rewards. I want you to be the one to make it happen. Tasha felt the weight of his words. She was being trusted with something big. Something that could make a significant impact on the future of the Moretti estate. She had always dreamed of playing a bigger role. And now, the chance had come. I won't let you down, she said, her voice steady, filled with resolve. I'll do whatever it takes to ensure these projects succeed. Vincent gave her a sharp nod. I know you will. I'm giving you full authority over this. You'll report directly to me, and I'll be here to support you when needed. But you're in charge. As he spoke, Tasha's mind raced. She had always been in the background, serving and supporting others. But now, she had the chance to make decisions that would shape the estate's future. She wasn't sure what lay ahead, but she knew she was ready to face it head-on. Over the next few weeks, Tasha threw herself into the new projects. She worked late into the nights, reading through proposals, meeting with potential investors, and consulting with the legal team. Every detail mattered. She made sure everything was thoroughly researched and analyzed before moving forward. At times, the pressure felt overwhelming, but with each success, She grew more confident in her abilities. She was making decisions that would impact not just the Moretti family's wealth but also her own future. One afternoon, after finalizing the details of an important contract, Tasha found herself in Vincent's office once again. He looked up from his desk as she entered, and there was a glint of approval in his eyes. "You've done well, Tasha," he said, his voice low but filled with admiration. "I've been following the progress of the projects, and I'm impressed with how you've handled everything. You've proven yourself time and time again." Tasha smiled, though she was still feeling the weight of everything. "Thank you, Vincent. It's been a lot of work, but it's worth it." Vincent leaned back in his chair, his expression serious but not cold. "I've been thinking about you and your future here," he said. "You've come a long way, and I want to make sure you're given the chance to continue growing. You're no longer just an employee. You're a partner. I want you to help me run things at a higher level." Tasha's breath caught. A partner? She had worked so hard to get to this point, and now Vincent was offering her something even more. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vincent's gaze softened, but there was still an edge of determination. "I want you to take on a leadership role, Tasha. You've earned it. You'll help me with decision-making, with planning for the future of the estate. You're not just managing projects anymore. You'll be helping shape the direction we go in. I trust you." Tasha felt overwhelmed, but in the best way possible. She had always dreamed of a future like this. But now that it was here, it was hard to believe. "I don't know what to say," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "This is more than I ever imagined." Vincent smiled slightly, a rare moment of warmth. "You don't need to say anything, Tasha. You've already proven everything you need to. Now, it's time to take the next step." Over the next few months, Tasha's role continued to expand. She worked closely with Vincent, making critical decisions, handling key partnerships, and even overseeing the future direction of the estate's business. Each day brought new challenges. But with each challenge, she became more capable. She was no longer the invisible maid. She was a force to be reckoned with, a leader in her own right. And as she looked back at everything she had accomplished, Tasha knew this was just the beginning. The future was hers, and there was no limit to what she could achieve. Tasha stood at the edge of the estate's terrace, watching the sunset cast golden hues across the sprawling grounds. The view was breathtaking, and for a moment, she allowed herself to reflect on how far she had come. Just a few months ago, she had been nothing more than a maid, invisible to everyone around her. Now, she was one of the most important people in Vincent Moretti's inner circle, trusted with crucial decisions and entrusted with the future of the estate. The weight of it all was heavy, but Tasha had never felt more alive. She had proven herself time and time again, and Vincent had never stopped supporting her. He had given her a chance, and she had seized it. As the evening settled in, she felt a sense of pride. She had earned her place, and with each passing day, she grew more confident in her role. The Moretti empire was expanding, and so was her influence. She had worked alongside Vincent on several high-stakes projects, but this one felt different. It was a new venture, something that could elevate the estate to new heights. She had been working on it for weeks, negotiating with investors, creating the right partnerships, and carefully planning every detail. And now, the day had come. The final meeting was scheduled. Tasha's heart raced as she prepared herself for the negotiations. She had come a long way, and this deal would be her biggest yet. She had proven her ability to handle pressure, to think critically, and to make decisions that benefited everyone involved. But this was different. This deal wasn't just about money. It was about securing the legacy of the Moretti family, ensuring that the empire they had built would continue to thrive for generations. As she walked through the hallways of the estate, Tasha felt the weight of the task ahead. She wasn't just a part of the team anymore. She was the one leading the charge, making sure that everything went according to plan. She had Vincent's full support, but this was her moment to shine. When she arrived in the conference room, Vincent was already there, reviewing the papers. He looked up as she entered, his sharp eyes assessing her as he always did. "Tasha," he said, his voice steady, "I trust you've gone over everything?" Tasha nodded, her confidence unwavering. "Yes, sir. I've reviewed all the details. And I'm ready." Vincent gave a slight nod of approval. "Good. This is important, Tasha. We're not just securing a business deal. We're setting the stage for the future." Tasha's heart skipped a beat. She had always known that her work was important. But now, the stakes were higher than ever. She took a deep breath, steadying herself for what was to come. The investors soon arrived, and the meeting began. Tasha took her seat at the table, her mind sharp and focused. She had done her homework. She knew the numbers, the risks, and the rewards. This wasn't just about making the right decisions for the Moretti estate. It was about building something that would last as the meeting unfolded. Tasha found herself in her element. She handled the discussions with ease, negotiating terms, addressing concerns, and ensuring that everyone was aligned with the vision for the future. There were moments of tension, moments when the stakes seemed impossibly high, but Tasha stayed calm, always thinking 2 steps ahead. When the meeting finally concluded, Tasha felt a wave of relief wash over her. The deal was done, and it had gone better than she had ever hoped. The Moretti estate had secured its future, and Tasha had played a key role in making that happen. As the investors left, Vincent turned to her, a rare smile crossing his face. "Well done, Tasha," he said, his voice full of pride. "You've exceeded all expectations." Tasha smiled, a deep sense of satisfaction filling her. "Thank you, Vincent. I couldn't have done it without your guidance." Vincent walked over to her, his expression softening. "You didn't just follow my guidance, Tasha. You made this happen. This is your success, too." Tasha's heart swelled with gratitude. She had worked so hard for this moment, and now, it was finally paying off. She wasn't just a part of the Moretti estate anymore. She was a driving force behind it, someone whose decisions shaped the future of the family business. As she left the conference room, Vincent called after her, "Take some time to celebrate, Tasha. You've earned it." Tasha nodded, feeling a sense of pride in everything she had accomplished. She had come so far, and this was just the beginning. She was no longer the invisible maid who cleaned the floors. She was a key player in one of the most powerful families in the city. And nothing would stop her now. The future was hers, and she was ready to take it on. As she walked down the hallway, her mind racing with possibilities, Tasha couldn't help but feel a sense of peace. She had earned her place here, and no matter what came next, she knew she was ready for it. Tasha's life at the Moretti estate had changed in ways she had never imagined. The once quiet maid, who had kept to the background, was now an integral part of the empire Vincent Moretti had built. She had proven herself, earning his trust and respect. And now, she was more than just a part of the team. She was a leader. But as time passed, she began to feel the weight of her new responsibilities. It wasn't just about making deals or overseeing projects anymore. Now, she was shaping the future of the estate, making decisions that would have long-lasting consequences. It was exhilarating, but also overwhelming. One afternoon, as she sat in her office, reviewing the final details of a new venture, Tasha found herself lost in thought. She had been working tirelessly, but there were moments when doubt crept in. Was she really ready for all of this? Was she capable of handling it all? She shook the thoughts from her head. She had worked too hard to get here to let self-doubt hold her back now. The door to her office opened, and she looked up to see Vincent standing in the doorway. His presence, as always, was commanding. "Tasha," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I need to talk to you about something." She stood up, her heart skipping a beat. She knew that Vincent only called her for serious matters. "What's going on, sir?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Vincent stepped into the room and closed the door behind him. He didn't speak right away, his gaze steady and calculating. After a few moments, he spoke. "I've been watching how you've handled everything here, how you've led the projects, how you've negotiated deals, how you've made decisions. I'm impressed, Tasha. But I need to know one thing. Are you ready for what comes next?" Tasha's heart raced. What did he mean by what comes next? She had already taken on so much responsibility. And now Vincent was asking if she was ready for more. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice betraying a hint of uncertainty. Vincent gave her a serious look. "There's a new opportunity, a new direction I want to take the estate in. It's big, Tasha, bigger than anything we've done before. And I need someone who can lead it. Someone I can trust to take the reins and make it happen." Tasha's mind raced. She had always known that Vincent saw something in her. But now, he was giving her a chance to lead an entire new venture. It was everything she had worked for. But the pressure was immense. "What's the opportunity?" she asked, trying to focus. Vincent leaned in, his eyes narrowing slightly as he spoke. "We're looking at international expansion. We've established ourselves here, but now, it's time to take the business global. This project will require someone who can handle high-level negotiations, who can work with foreign investors, and who can oversee a global team. It's a huge risk, but if it succeeds, it will change everything for the Moretti estate." Tasha felt her breath catch. The weight of what Vincent was asking her to do settled in. This wasn't just about local partnerships anymore. This was about taking the Moretti name and making it known worldwide. It was an opportunity like no other. And Vincent wanted her to lead it. "I'm ready," she said, more confidently than she felt. "I've worked for this, and I'm ready to take on whatever comes next." Vincent nodded, a small but approving smile crossing his face. "I knew you were the right person for this. I trust you, Tasha, and I believe in your ability to make this happen." With those words, something inside Tasha shifted. She had always worked hard to prove herself. But now, Vincent was giving her the chance to prove not just to him, but to herself, that she was capable of so much more than she had ever dreamed. Over the next few weeks, Tasha threw herself into the new project. She traveled to different countries, met with international investors, and began forming partnerships that would propel the Moretti estate to new heights. It was demanding, exhausting, and at times overwhelming, but Tasha handled it with grace. She was no longer the woman who doubted herself. She was the woman leading a global expansion. A woman who had proven that she belonged in this world of power and influence. As the project progressed, Tasha found herself becoming more confident in her ability to lead. She made tough decisions, took risks, and saw them pay off. But it wasn't just about the success of the project. It was about the confidence she had gained in herself. The woman who had once been afraid to speak up was now the one calling the shots. One evening, as she was finalizing a new deal with a foreign investor, she received a message from Vincent. It was brief, but it made her heart swell with pride. "You've done it, Tasha. This project is exactly what the estate needs. You've secured our future." Tasha sat back in her chair, the weight of his words sinking in. She had done it. She had taken the Moretti estate global, and she had made it her own success. As she looked out the window of her office, the sprawling city below seemed different. She had earned her place here, And now, there was no limit to what she could achieve. The future was hers for the taking. And she was ready to face whatever came next with the same confidence and determination that had brought her this far.